Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first Fabulous Health Cooking Show. I'm your host, Terry Chrisman. I'm a plant-based nutritionist, and this show is to help you get more confident in the kitchen and make yummy, yummy things that are going to be absolutely beneficial to your health. And today, I'm joined by my lovely friend, Susie Ann, and Susie Ann is part of my Facebook group. The Facebook group is called the Whole Food Plant-Based Lifestyle for Beginners. Susie Ann is one of my star people. Hi, Susie Ann. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, everybody.
So have a look how gorgeous Susie Ann is. Susie Ann lost over 50 pounds when she started a whole food plant-based lifestyle, and she is absolutely rocking it. Yep. How many, darling?
Almost 55 pounds now.
That is full on. I think that's enough, is it not?
I'm good. I think I'm good.
Yeah, so you can add a bit more avocado and nuts to your lunch.
I think I've leveled off. I've kind of gotten down to where I'm supposed to be, and I'm good, you know.
Excellent. Excellent. So today what we're going to do is we're going to do a tag team. We're going to make muffins. Now, a lot of people think that when you're going on whole food plant-based, you have to give up your cakes and your pastries, and that is true in a way, but we don't have to give up the ones that are whole food. Now, when I teach my courses, I do teach not to eat flour. We are going to make our own flour today. So that's pretty much as whole food as you can possibly get when you mill your own flour. So, okay, where did you get your recipe from, Susie Ann?
I got my recipe from Jane. Actually, this was Rip Esselstyn's cookbook. Gosh, so sorry, I can never remember the name of it. Let me just tell you real quick. It is
the Engine 2 cookbook.
Plant Strong. Rip Esselstyn's Plant Strong. Discover the world's healthiest diet.
Excellent. Well, I got my recipe from you can't really see it. This actually comes from a packet of einkorn flour. Now, einkorn is a type of wheat. It's an ancient grain. It has less chromosomes than modern wheat. And so even if you are wheat sensitive, you might be able to try einkorn. I'm not actually using this flour today because I ran out and I couldn't get any more. I'm actually going to use this flour, and hang on, I'm just going to make it so that everybody can see it. This flour here, this brand 1 Degree, they are the only veganic farmers that I know of. And if you want to know what veganic farming means, that means that when they fertilize their plants, they don't fertilize them with blood and bone and fish emulsion. They only fertilize them with plant extracts, and that's why I really like this 1 Degree, and it is whole grain organic. So Susie Ann, you're actually going to be milling your own flour today. Yes. What are you using for your flour?
I am just using old-fashioned oats that I got from my grocery store. Just regular old-fashioned oatmeal oats.
That's great. Yeah, me too. I'm going to use a mixture of the spelt and the oats. So talk to us about your muffins. What's in your muffins?
Okay, the main ingredients in these muffins is the oats, and you're supposed to I do a double batch, and each batch calls for 2 bananas. So I'll usually throw an extra banana in there. This is for I'm going to leave these with my son and his family. So I'm going to put a little extra banana in there, and I'm also going to add some almond butter in there to give it a little more of a creamier texture. And so it's the oats, bananas, some unsweetened applesauce, a couple of cups of that for a double batch, and 2 cans of pure pumpkin puree.
Oh, so you're doing banana and pumpkin muffin.
Banana, pumpkin, and applesauce are like the mains. And I think the applesauce is mostly for oil replacing, you know.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that as we do it. We are using, for example, for the sweetener, we're using bananas and applesauce. That's sweet, so that's why we don't have any sugar. Mm-hmm. I'm going to use a couple of dates. I usually use date powder, but I ran out. And the other good thing is that the bananas, not only do they work for the sugar part of it, they also work for the oil part of it because they add moisture. So we're not adding any margarine, we're not adding any oil, we're not adding any butter at all. So I have bought this pan from Williams-Sonoma, and it's supposed to be completely, absolutely non-stick, but I think they refer to that when you are putting some kind of fat inside your cake. I'm not putting any fat inside my cake. So I'm actually going to be using little cupcake liners.
Mm-hmm.
So, and not paper ones, because the paper ones don't work. They will stick to the muffin. So I'm going to be using silicone liners. Do you line your pan?
I don't. In fact, I'm using, these are amazing pans. Not this one, but these are USA pans. I got them at Bed Bath & Beyond. And whether or not I put the almond butter in these, they literally just pop right out. This is kind of...
That's fantastic.
They literally slide right out. You don't even need cooking spray or anything.
All right. Well, I might try that too. I might give this Williams-Sonoma pan a go without liners and see what happens.
These have like a clear silicone coating on them. I don't know if yours does. It's like a clear silicone coating, and I mean nothing. Now these are my son's. These aren't mine. So I think they might use a little bit of cooking spray in here. So I'm not sure 100% if they're not going to stick. But mine, I've never used any oils besides a little bit of almond. I mean, I'm only putting like a quarter of a cup of almond butter in the whole double batch.
Right.
So it's really.
So how many muffins are you making today?
Pardon me?
How many muffins will your batch make today?
I'm doing a double batch. Normally, normal muffin size is 36.
Right. Okay.
But I'm only doing 24 plus. I'm going to try to fill this little sucker.
Little baby one.
Little baby one's for my grandson because he
sounds
loves
great.
these muffins. He loves them.
And that's another great thing, I think, is that some of us think that whole food plant-based is only for adults. But it's not. You can grow your children whole food plant-based, and they will have the best nutrition that they possibly can have. Okay, so we are going to put in the show notes, we are going to put the recipes, both of our recipes. My recipe is basically the same as Susie's, but I'm not putting the pumpkin in. I'm maybe going to put some dried blueberries in mine. I think that's what I'll do with, or maybe even, actually, no. Forget that. I'll put fresh blueberries in. Get more moisture in there. Now, did you want to say something, honey?
Yes, I was going to tell you something funny. I made, because my son and his family, they're not whole food plant-based, but I'm hardcore. So I made breakfast for everybody this morning, a little cheesy scrambled eggs, you know. He didn't want his eggs, but he wanted one of my muffins. He did not want to eat his eggs, but he scarfed my muffin down. I just thought that was kind of funny. Yeah.
Excellent. I love it. I love it. Okay.
Already.
All right. So we're going to do it tag team.
Okay.
Number one, usually when you make a cake or a muffin or something, there is a science to it. Usually you do your wet first and then you add your wet to your dry, or you do your dry first and then you add your wet to your whatever. You do them separately and you add them together and then you throw them in the oven. So you can mash your bananas in a bowl. Mm-hmm. Are you mashing or are you blending?
I'm mashing. I haven't done it yet. So
you mash, I'll blend.
Okay,
right,
I'm gonna get to that.
Okay. When we use our bananas for cakes, what we want to do is we want to make sure that our bananas are kind of a little bit brown and spotty. And that way we know that they've got a lot of sugar in them. The browner and more spotty they are, the more sugar they contain. So, for example, these ones here, I would say, they're probably really good eating bananas right now. They might be okay.
These are the ones
there you
I'm
go.
using.
Look at Susie Ann's. That's great.
These are really going to be good.
Yeah. So, actually, no, these are great. So, I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to put mine. Can I bring my blender over? Let's see. Sorry about my lack of space, everybody. Yeah, you can't. Hang on. This is what we'll do. I'm just going to put the camera on me. There you go. So I'm just going to break my bananas up. I'm doing a half a batch. Well, sorry, I'm doing a single batch. Susie's doing a double batch. So I'm going to put in 3 bananas. And these are normal size bananas. They're about 100 grams each, 120 grams each. That's a normal size banana. Obviously, if you have an enormous banana, you use 2. And if you have a really tiny banana, you would use 3.
Just give me
so Susie Ann's putting in 5 bananas. You're out of camera, darling. Just have a look where you are.
Oh, so sorry.
And then applesauce. It's all stuck to me. I'm just using the unsweetened applesauce. Now, Susie Ann bought hers in a big jar. I like buying them in these little tubs. They are a little bit more expensive, but guess how much you use in each of your recipes? You just put 1 tub in, and then you're good to go. So the other thing that I will add in is I'm going to add in a little bit of plant milk. Now, I love this plant milk. It's called Joy. It's a 1-ingredient plant milk. You can get this on my website, fabuloushealth.net. Just head into the shop and look at my favorite things. And this is it. It's a cashew base. You can get almond base. You can get cashew base. You can get oat base. And you just make your own milk. And then you know that it doesn't have any of those gums and additives and all those nasty things. So what else goes in the wet? Vanilla extract, but I'm actually using this, which is vanilla powder. I love this brand of vanilla powder. I think it's the best vanilla powder I've ever bought. And I get that at iherb.com. And have a look how much I'm going to use. I'm going to use, where's my camera? There it is. I'm going to use that much. Just a little itty bitty tiny bit. No, actually, I'm a liar. I'm going to put a little bit more in because I love a lot of vanilla flavor. And then just for a little bit more moisture, I'm just going to throw a bit of milk in. Now, you're noticing that I'm not using any measuring cups and things for this. It's because I make these muffins all the time. And Susie Ann makes hers all the time too. So everybody close their ears. I'm just about to, actually, you know what? I'll mute myself and Susie, you can start talking.
Okay. So what I've done so far is I've got my bananas in here and mashed, and I use a whole jar. When I do a double batch, I use a whole, I think it's 24-ounce jar because it's just over 2 cups. Let's see, what is this? Yeah, just a whole 24-ounce jar of organic applesauce, so you don't really have to even measure that. Now I'm putting the pumpkin puree in here. There's one. And so these are going to be so good because they're going to have so much good fiber in them too, with the pumpkin and the oatmeal. Really good for your gut flora.
That is true.
Great prebiotic, kind of like a prebiotic muffin almost, you know?
Absolutely. If you don't know what a prebiotic is the food for your gut bacteria, and your gut bacteria are called probiotics, and the prebiotic is the food that they eat, and they eat the fiber of the fruit. So I'm putting in some whole dates. I've got Deglet Nor dates here. I dislike them a lot, but it was all I could buy. So I tell you why I dislike them. They're a lot of pip and a lot less date than a medjool. A medjool has a ton more fruit on it than a Deglet Nor, if I can pronounce that correctly. But I'm just going to throw that in with my wet stuff and whiz it all up. Or you can use date powder. The date powder I use comes from Well Your World. Well Your World is a magnificent company. It's a guy called Dylan and his girlfriend Reebs. I love buying from small producers. They make whole food, SOS, so that's sugar, oil, and salt-free products such as salad dressings, spaghetti sauces, spice blends, and, of course, date powder. Susie, what you got going on there?
This, I was just going to show everybody. I got this at Costco yesterday. It's organic creamy almond butter, for those of you who do the butters. And the only ingredients in here is organic roasted almonds. And I'm just going to put about, since this is, I don't typically put almond butter in my own personal muffins, but for these guys, they like it. I'm going to put about 1/4 cup, and I'm just going to eyeball it. About 1/4 cup in here. It's probably 1/4 cup right there.
Yeah, I went to Costco a couple of days ago and bought some of that too. But bear in mind that if you were trying to lose weight, you probably don't want to be putting in almond butter into your muffins.
Right.
Yeah, but as you can see, Susie Ann does not need to lose any weight. Now, I'm also going to make my own flour, and I'm using organic oatmeal. Please buy organic oatmeal. And I'll tell you why. Particularly if you're in the Americans, listen to me, particularly if you're in the US, the oats that are grown in this country are sprayed with a spray called glyphosate. And you may know it by its commercial name, which is Roundup. And that spray goes into the plant and into the food. And there are many class actions at the moment trying to sue Monsanto for, which is the company that provides Roundup, for giving people cancer. So you don't want to do that. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm using for binding flax seeds. Now these, hang on, let me just do this.
We need some vanilla.
These are flax seeds. You can't really see, but they're like little seeds. And what you want to do is you want to throw them in your blender to make flax meal. So I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of flax meal into, and it doesn't have to be exact, it can be a little rough, into my oat flour. I could have put 2 tablespoons of flax seed to it because it's going to blend it anyway. And then that is going to make my muffins. That's my egg substitute, basically, because when you put the flax with a liquid, it forms this gel-like substance called mucilage, and that helps bind all your ingredients together. Okay, I'm going to use my machine and mute myself. Susie Ann, if you want.
Okay. You didn't. I don't know if you guys saw, but I also added 1.5 tablespoons of vanilla extract in here. So I've got 5 bananas, 2 cans of pumpkin puree, a 24-ounce jar of unsweetened applesauce, 1/4 cup of almond butter, and a 1.5 tablespoons of vanilla extract. And what I like to do in this wet ingredients, I don't know why I do it I do add a couple of little dry ingredients to the wet because I think it blends it better. I take this pumpkin pie spice and I'll do, like, for a double batch, like just 6 shakes. I just give it, ooh, that's a big, you have big openings on yours, Justin. Maybe 3 of this one. Mine has little openings. And then I'll just put in, I'll just eyeball a little bit of cinnamon, maybe like a teaspoon or 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Dump it in there. And for some reason, I just feel the seasonings blend better in the liquid than it does in the dry.
Yeah, I think, when you talk about fat-free cooking, particularly if you're making things like Indian food, there's a presumption that you need the oil to wake up the spices. But I think what wakes up the spices is the moisture,
Exactly.
not necessarily the oil. So I like the fact that you're putting your spices in your wet because it's probably going to wake them up. Now,
Yeah,
I'm not going to do that.
It distributes it better. It distributes it throughout better.
Okay, I'll buy that. So I've got in here my cup of oat flour, and I am going to sift it. I know my bowl is not in camera. I do apologize, but we are limited by our range of cords and
So that's all my wet.
computers and cameras and things
Am
about
I
what
able
we
to
can
mute
do.
myself, Terry?
Say again?
Am I able to mute myself to do my almond flour?
Absolutely. Mute yourself, and I'll start talking. So I'm just sifting.
I'm not sure how to do it. Let's see.
Oh, I can mute you, honey. Hang on.
Oh.
There you go. All right, she's gone. So while she's doing that, she's going to blend hers as well. I'm just basically running mine through a sieve, and but it just gets a lot of air into the batter. Always sieve your flours, because if you don't, what happens is you get kind of heavy spots in your muffins. So you just want to sieve them and run them just so that you can get a whole bunch of air into it. And you'll notice too, check this out, none of this is going through the sieve. That's the oat fiber. Just shove it in. Yeah? And then I'm going to use, as I mentioned before, a little bit of this organic sprouted spelt flour. I wish I had a cup, but I don't think I do. I completely forgot about it, and I think I've got about, I don't know, a little bit, maybe 3/4 of a cup. Now, into that, I'm going to put some cinnamon. And it's really important that you buy high-quality cinnamon, because some cinnamon actually isn't cinnamon at all. Just buy, something from a reputable brand. Don't buy the kind of no-name brands of cinnamon. I'm using a whole teaspoon. And you could put nutmeg in if you wanted to, you know, whatevs. And then I'm using some baking powder. Now, I know baking powder has sodium in it. You can buy sodium-free baking powder. I'm yet to get it. I'm just using this up before I buy it again. I'm going to use 2 teaspoons, and I'm actually measuring them so that I know exactly how much I've got in there. 2 teaspoons, because these are quite dense muffins. Susie Ann, are you finished with your blending? Do you want to come back on? Yeah, she says yes. All right, let's get her back in there.
And the recipe calls for 3 cups of oat flour. So what I do, because it condenses it as you blend it, I put 4 cups of whole grain oats. No, the old fashioned, I mean. I put 4 cups in, and it food processes down to just maybe a hair over 3 cups. And then I just dump it all in.
Excellent. Oh, so Susie did wet, and then she's dumping in dry. I'm doing dry, and then I'm dumping in wet. Same.
Okay. And then I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons, since I'm doing a double batch, it's 2 teaspoons of baking soda.
This is like a smoothie. A banana smoothie. Do you know what I'm going to do? This has got banana and applesauce and dates in it. I'm going to leave this stuff on the edge, and then I'm going to put some milk in it and call it a smoothie later on for the extra.
That'd be good. Or freeze it, make some nice cream out of it if there's enough. And then I'll put in 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Now this is totally optional. This is my son's family, so I'm going to put a little teaspoon of salt in here, just a hair under a teaspoon. Me personally, I would not use the salt.
So do you really think that the salt brings out the flavor? I think it's a waste of time.
I don't know, but I'm putting it in there for them. But me, I honestly, I can't really tell a difference.
You can't.
I think it would have to be like a significant amount, you know, but.
Exactly. So here's my batter. It's quite wet, and I like that. I'm going to get some blueberries out of the fridge. So look at these. I bought these blueberries from Trader Joe's yesterday. This is 2 pounds of blueberries, and it cost me like $7, and they're organic. So I thought that was a really good deal.
That is a pretty good deal, especially for organic.
Yeah.
And Trader Joe's.
I love Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's is really cheap compared to
Trader Joe's is great.
You know, Whole Foods and whatnot. So I'm just going to eyeball these blueberries. I think a few handfuls. And even though they're organic, I will wash them.
Okay, I might have to have my son help me with this part, mixing this all together. Because I have a bum shoulder right now. I'm going to see if I can do it. This is probably a really, no, I need a really, you have a really strong wooden, like, big mixing spoon.
That's the majority are left is the wood ones.
Maybe you wish you were ambidextrous. You could use the other arm.
I wish.
So here's another reason why I don't do big batches.
Right? Maybe that's why my shoulder's been sore.
Yeah.
But this is all ready to mix together. Have you combined yours wet and dry yet, Terry?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to chuck it in the oven.
Now, oh my gosh. Okay, well, let me get this in.
What did you set your oven at?
350 degrees, and I cook mine for 30 minutes.
Okay. So I'm at 7,000 feet. So I set my oven at 375, but I also use an in-oven thermometer because you can never trust the thermometer that is on your oven. So I set it to 375. It gets to 350, and then I leave mine in for about 20, 25 minutes.
I just got pumpkin on my pants. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get this in mine here.
And I usually use an ice cream scoop, you know, those ones that go like this, but I don't have one here. So I'm just going to use this. Who is that rude person calling you?
Some concrete guy wanting a delivery. Probably it was a concrete guy.
You know, the people that call me every day is Mr. Scam Likely.
I get those too. But you know what I've noticed, and I heard on the news this morning that we're starting to get less calls on cell phones. I don't know if that's true though.
Well, I get Mr. Scam Likely. He loves me so much. He calls me 4 times a day.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and I just ignore him, and then I block him, and then he calls on a different number.
Oh, I know. And then they get your local zip code. They try to go through your local zip code, so you think it's somebody local too.
Yes, they do. Yeah, exactly.
So I think I got this. Just mix this up, and then I fill my cupcake almost to the top. I mean, they rise some. They don't rise a whole bunch.
Yeah. The other good thing about this is because there's no raw eggs in here, you can actually eat the batter before it gets cooked and you won't get salmonella.
Yes, you can. You don't have to worry.
That's right. So I'm going to show everybody mine. There it is.
Oh,
Now,
wonderful.
I'm going to also just put a few little blueberries on top, because even though there's blueberries inside, I like them on top, because what happens is the ones on top, they bake and then they kind of explode a little bit on top, and I like that. It's like blueberry jam.
Oh, yum.
Yeah.
Like a little jammy crust on top.
Yeah, I love it. And you could, if you wanted to, like I've done this before, and that I have put like a half a teaspoon of jam actually in the batter. So you do a little bit of batter, then half a teaspoon of jam, and then a little bit of batter on top. And then when you bite into the muffin, you get a nice jammy filling. But again, it's more calories, and you need to be careful about what jam you use. You've got to get the sugar-free one. Trader Joe's used to make some. Oh, I love it. It was this. They don't make it anymore. It drives me nuts. I'm so upset.
Back over here.
I know. Anyway, so if anybody has any sugar-free jam that they recommend, I'll go and buy it. Okay, Susie Ann, it's all yours, and go into the oven.
Okay, so I'm just going to fill these up. I fill them almost to the top. This is how they're pretty full. Almost level with the top. And they will rise a little bit. They don't rise a whole bunch. If you guys just want a nice big breakfast muffin or two. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll take 2 of these muffins and I'll cut them in half, put them in a bowl. I'll pour applesauce, the unsweetened applesauce over the top, and I'll have that for breakfast. I don't know if it sounds good to everybody, but it actually is pretty good. And just gotta load these up. But yeah, these muffins are great. Everybody that I've made them for loves them. I have never had a negative review. And they're just good. They're just so good for you. Lots of fiber.
They are great. They're great.
And the fiber is what you need for your prebiotics. And they keep you full for a while, which is another plus. You can have a couple of these muffins or one muffin, and I mean, it'll keep you full for 2 or 3 hours. And you don't have to feel guilty eating these. And
so you know what? You could have cake for breakfast.
Yes,
How nice is that? Whoever thought that when you were losing weight, looking after your health, that you could have cake for breakfast? It's not really cake because there's no refined sugar.
Right.
There's no refined flour. There's no eggs. There's no fat.
Nope.
There's just whole food goodness, and they taste delicious. And you're right, they are very, very satisfying.
Yes. You get very satiated with these, which is such a plus for me. That was a problem I used to have when I was on the standard American diet. You know, I would have dinner, say some salmon and a baked potato and green beans or something, you know, and 2 or 3 hours later, I'm wanting a snacky dessert before bedtime kind of a thing.
Yeah.
You know? And so what would I do sometimes? I would have bread and butter, because that was my big thing, was bread and butter. I love bread and butter. That was hard for me to give up. So there's one. But yeah, these
So you're not putting, so you've got, okay, so just to clarify, you've got, yours are a pumpkin pie spice kind of muffin with the banana and the apple. And I've just gone for your standard muffin with, I put blueberries in. So I made one earlier. These were in my freezer, and this is how they come out. They're cute little dudes.
Let me show you mine. I've got some right here.
I'm going to eat one.
These are how mine come out.
They're light.
And they are delicious.
Yum.
Really dense. Look at the inside. I break this one in half. I mean, that's a meal right there.
Yeah, that's cool. Yum, yum.
They're delicious. And they refrigerate, and I would keep them in the refrigerator maybe up to a week.
Mm.
But if you freeze them, they thaw beautifully. I mean, you can freeze these things. I put them in Ziploc freezer bags. I'll get the quart bags. I put 6 in each bag, zip it up, throw them in my freezer, and I'll take one out, every few days, and I'll go through 36 muffins in about gosh, we eat a lot. Probably 2 weeks, we'll go through 36 muffins between my husband and me. And
Me too. That's exactly what I do. I have a tendency that if the food is in front of me, I will eat it. So I always put my cookies and my muffins in Ziploc bags in the freezer, because if they're in the fridge, I open the fridge probably 50 times a day.
Yep.
And if I see a muffin in front of me, I'm just going to put my hand in there and eat it. And even though they're healthy, they do have calories.
Yes. I might not get 36 out of these. I'm feeling this pretty full. But another good idea to put on these muffins, I don't know if you guys are into the California balsamic vinegars, but they sell, they have a Simply Lemon vinegar. They have a mandarin orange vinegar, which if you drizzle it over these muffins, it's like it takes it to a whole nother level. It's epic. So delicious with a little bit of that vinegar drizzled on top.
I haven't used that mandarin one yet, but if people are interested in getting the California balsamic vinegars, I'll put the link in the description of this video below, and you can get that. The same for the link of the Joy milk. And everything else you can pretty much get at your local supermarket. Look, I understand a lot of people don't have a Costco, or that a lot of people don't have a Trader Joe's near them. You can get most of this stuff at most supermarkets. Like, we're talking bananas and dates and oatmeal. It's not difficult stuff to get. And then another one of my favorite places to go is iHerb, iHerb.com. I've been using iHerb for about 15 years, when I lived in Australia, when I lived in the United Arab Emirates, when I lived in Hong Kong, when I lived in America. They send all over the world, and they don't charge you for shipping over $40. And you do get some really good high quality stuff, particularly for herbs and spices. You can get them in pound bags. My husband really, really likes garlic salt, which I don't use, but he loves it. And the Frontier garlic salt that you buy in the little 1 ounce or 2 ounce bottles is about $7, but I paid $12 a pound for it or something. So it's good. So I think we're kind of finished, aren't we, Susie Ann?
We're pretty good. Basically, just fill up your muffin pans and throw mine in the oven for 30 minutes. And I do take a little toothpick and I check, because I don't want them to be like super moist inside, but I want them to be moist. So as long as the toothpick comes out with nothing on there, which 99.99% of the time it does, they're done. And then I just put them on a cooling rack. I let them cool to room temperature. And then I'll put, I get the quart freezer bags. I'll put 6 in each bag and just chunk them in my freezer. And they defrost perfectly.
Are you telling the truth? Do you really let them go to room temperature before you test one out?
No. I let them go to room temperature before I put them in the bags. But yeah, I always eat one fresh. Yeah, they never make
I
it.
hear you.
Right.
Room temperature before they go in the bag. But otherwise, we have to eat one hot, don't we? We have to, when they come out. I think the first one burns my mouth. I don't even let the steam come off it. Anyway, thank you very much, Susie, for joining me on this first edition of the Fabulous Health Cooking Show, the baking experience.
Yes.
If you have any questions at all, put them in the comments and we'll answer them. And I hope your muffins turn out fantastic. Mine are in the oven already, and everybody else. Post your results. Tell us what you put in. Yeah, we'd love to see
my after. I'll take pictures of them when they come out of the oven, and I'll put it in the comments below this video.
Excellent. All right, everybody. Have a great day. See you later.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.